Alright guys, my name is Alex and I felt compelled to write this trip report today of when I took a heroic dose of Amanita Muscaria. So I don't really know how to make videos, but I don't give a fuck, so I'm just going to read out my trip report. You can either read along with me or just listen to it in the background. Uh, and yeah, take of it as you will. So, this is undoubtedly the most spiritually frightening and intense experience of my life. It felt very real to me at the time. It still feels like that's how it could really be for some people when they die. I'm not trying to frighten anyone, I'm just recalling what felt like a near-death experience. This was an unintentional overdose, and I think I'm lucky to be alive. I have almost no recollection of time in this event, so please excuse this lack of detail. This all happened during the day. I basically got a 30-gram bag of dried amanitas off of eBay. I've always wanted to try this drug, and being an arrogant psychonaut at the time, I always wanted to experience the heavy dose trips. Erowid said that the strong dose for this drug is 10 to 30 grams. I ate some at home, but nothing was happening, so I kept eating them because they were so fucking tasty, until I ate the entire 30-gram bag, thinking that this is a safe dose according to Erowid. I later found very little report of people coming anywhere near close to this dose. So my friend asked me to come hang out in town, and for some reason I didn't hesitate to go. When we met, he gave me a beer. It has been roughly 2 hours since I ingested the initial dose of Amanita Muscaria, and maybe an hour since my redose. Nothing was happening still, so I thought a beer wouldn't hurt. I now realize how reckless it is to be on a heroically high dose of a drug I've never done before and thinking it's fine to mix with alcohol. Needless to say, I'm going to regret this later. Okay, so after some time, maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, we started walking to the embankment. I think I was feeling some effects, but couldn't really put a finger on what they were. I brought my skateboard with me, but I couldn't ride it. Little did I know I could not even carry it. I kept fucking dropping my skateboard no matter how much I tried to hold on to it. This was very bizarre to me and has never happened on any drug before. My friend met up with some people and we were just hanging out by the embankment. And then I started chatting some weird shit and people were telling me to shut up because I wasn't making much sense. I don't remember what was said, but I seemed to be the only person that it made sense to. Anyway, these guys that my friend knew offered me a spliff, and after a few tokes I got a feeling of impending doom. I felt an overwhelming urge to start running away, because something very bad would happen if I didn't do this. So I ran away with these guys' weed in my hand, and they started chasing after me thinking I'm stealing it. After a short distance of running away, I suddenly stopped, and I completely forgot I even had the spliff in my hand. I felt myself losing touch with reality very rapidly. All of a sudden I thought I was in heaven, and I thought my friend was God, so I ran up to hug him, and he just pushed me away. It felt like God just pushed me into hell, so this is where I actually went. In reality, I think my friend really did push me, and I fell, and I think I hit my head slightly. There and then, I thought I accidentally killed myself from these drugs, so I was in hell, and I was in agony. But I had a sense of knowing that because I wasn't such a bad person in life, the agony is not going to be too severe. But I still felt like this was my fate for all eternity, and it fucking sucked. I would not wish this fate upon any human being. I did not know if I had my eyes open or closed at this point. It felt like I was slowly rolling down the staircase of hell, and with each step the agony was increasing. Again, I somehow had the sense of knowing that the worse of a person you were in this life, the deeper down you would go. I was dreading to think how much hotter it can get, but I somehow knew that it could get much, much worse. By the way, I am a Christian and a believer in God, but I didn't even try to plead with God to get me out of there. I just accepted that this was my eternal fate and it's what I deserve, and there was no getting out of it. After a while of this, I started feeling like I was going back up these stairs, maybe into heaven, and the pain was decreasing. But before I reached anywhere near heaven, I started going back down into hell, and again the pain started getting worse. I think this repeated several times, and I was yo-yoing like that between heaven and hell for what felt like an eternity because time no longer existed in that realm. After an unknown amount of time, I stopped going down into hell and realized that the heaven I was going up to was actually this reality. At this point, I returned to this reality, and it literally felt like heaven in comparison to where I've just been. A couple of women walking past called the ambulance, and then the police came. For some reason, I started running away from them, and they started chasing after me. I was running in front of cars and yelling for help from random people on the street. I was saying that they're going to hell if they don't help me, or something like that. I remember stopping in front of a car, and behind that car was a bus, so I got my bus ticket out of my pocket and waved it at the bus driver from a distance. And with the police still coming after me, I was hoping that the bus driver would let me in, but to my surprise he just shakes his head. I must have looked like a lunatic then. Eventually the police got a hold of me and brought me to the ambulance. My memory is hazy at this point. I remember on the way to the hospital, the nurse was asking me about the experience, because apparently they never had a case from this drug before. They didn't know what to do with me. I don't remember my hospital stay at all, but I remember asking my support worker to come pick me up in the middle of the night. The next day my friend was very angry with me, said I fucked up his jacket, so he wanted me to compensate him for it. And he also said he stopped those kids whose weed they thought I tried stealing from beating me up. I think they robbed me because my passport and my visa were missing. I'm not sure why that was the only thing that went missing that day, but it was not a good thing to lose. I could not get a job until I got them replaced. And man, it was not easy to get them back, but I guess I deserved it. My friend was recording me and showed me footage of when I was in this hell realm. In reality, I was rolling back and forth in the mud with my eyes closed, speaking incoherent gibberish. Maybe I was speaking in tongues. Needless to say, I did not look like I was having a good time at all. So that's my experience with these mushrooms. Surprisingly, I wanted to buy them again the very next day, but then I noticed how they were sold in the witchcraft section of eBay. If I saw this sooner, I probably wouldn't have bought them in the first place. As a Christian, I really shouldn't dabble in sorcery. I can see why now. The shit is real, and I advise to steer clear from it. If you do decide to take fly agaric mushrooms, please do not mix them with alcohol. They are classed as a GABA depressant with delirium properties, and alcohol is the last thing you want to mix with that. I'm not sure if they're a good mix with weed either. For crying out loud, please don't take as much as I did, unless you are very experienced with this substance. They took a very long time to fully kick in for me, I think around 3 hours. The experience was not visual at all, at least I don't recall any visual effects. The high itself was very drunk-like, and the trip felt what I'd imagine a bad salvia trip to feel like. To me, it didn't feel like a trip at all. I highly doubt I'll ever touch this substance again. It has frightened me to my very core, more than any other drug has ever done, and I've pretty much tried every major hallucinogen apart from PCP and mescaline. This could have been God teaching me a lesson of what could have happened if I really did die that day. It's all happened near deep water, so I could have very easily drowned. Christ knows what could have happened if I didn't run to a more public area before the experience began. Try to stay safe, y'all. Be careful with hallucinogens, and God bless.